What's going on, folks? You can see how it is just another day. Foggy today. Anyway, we're going to head to the shop, take care of a couple things. A couple parts came in. We're not using those today, but we're going to knock out that floor pan that we started on live the other day. Well, technically finished on live the other day. We got it all welded in. Today we're going to dress it, give you guys a few tips on how to get those dressed, and then give you a rundown of what's coming up for the old 66. And a couple things coming up in short order. Today's the last day this week we're going to be in the shop. So come follow along and see if we can get some stuff done, huh? Okay, this video, I actually just finished trying to throw all the clips together and realized several of the clips were corrupted. I don't know if it's because I'm inside here or what's going on, but I'm going to do my best to patch it together kind of after the fact. So there's going to be a couple things that might seem out of order, and I apologize for that. I had shot a little bit about where we were on this and the order in which I'm doing things. So I've got to get these floor panels done good enough. And what that means is get the welds knocked down so I can go underneath the truck and dress the bottom side to get those cab mounts in. And the cab mounts have to be welded to the floor of the sheet metal prior to me being able to do any coatings inside and any sound deadening. So that's because the sound deadening can't take that extra heat. That soundproofing stuff, when you weld on the backside, it just makes a nasty mess. So there's a weird order to the way I'm going to end up doing this stuff. It's probably different than some people, but it's just what I've found to be the most straightforward way of doing it that causes me the least amount of headaches. Again, when doing this stuff, I'm typically alone, so I have to come up with a way that causes me less headaches down the road. So we're gonna get after it. I'm gonna be real honest with you. I'm getting kind of a slow start today. It's feeling a little groggy. Probably has to deal with some of that junk I was dealing with yesterday. But we're gonna get after it. We're gonna get some stuff done. And before we coat the underside, once we get everything in, one last step, and another reason why we haven't ground everything down is we got to look for pinholes in all the welding we're doing on this truck, which I've showed you guys how I do it. It's pretty simple. Just get a real bright light behind it and then mark wherever you see light coming through. That's going to be a pinhole. You want to get rid of those. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to yank off these inner fenders. The hope is that by removing just the inner fender, so everything from right here in will be removed on both sides. Hopefully that gives me enough access to get in here and do these cab mounts without having to blow the entire front clip apart. Main reason is space. As you can see, this is the only unit that I rent, and the space that I would use for the front clip is currently taken up by the engine that goes in there. So I'm a little limited on space right now. So gonna cheat a little bit, if you will. Again, the goal is to get this old girl back on the road by February 14th. So we got a little over a month and a half. It's actually closer to 2 months. But I've got other obligations with work, property, things like that. So I'm going to start grinding after I change into something that can handle some sparks. We're just going to keep going until we can't no more. So let's get after it, and I'll show you guys something when I got something to show you. All right, let's jump into some information here. All right, so a while back you saw me show you guys how to find pinholes. There was one in here. We ground down, tacked it up, and we're just knocking the edge of the welds down right now. So here's where we started. You know, they stick up And all we're trying to do is just get it close enough for now, right? We're gonna scuff this whole panel, knock down these welds, see how much they stick up. It doesn't look like a lot till you get real close, but they do. So we're knocking them down enough that I can throw some self-etching primer on there and protect it. Then we've drawn our line here to cut our sill piece that's hanging over into our footwell. We'll drill a couple holes in between these screws that are holding it down for plug welds, and then these screws will become additional plug welds. So that'll hold it down nice and tight, and then we'll be able to blow the front clip off. So I'm gonna continue going. Again, we're not going for the final look yet, so don't judge anything yet. We are just trying to protect our work right now, so we're getting it knocked down. Again, live very close to saltwater body of water, the Gulf. So humidity is a real thing for us down here. So number one for me is to protect the work that I have done. So when you're doing this kind of work, you do it in steps, right? So we didn't blow the whole truck apart, rotate the cab on its roof. This isn't necessarily a frame off restoration. This is a driver restoration. Yes, I'm going to be coating the frame, but I'm going to be doing it in sections as we go through this. So this is technically the hard way of doing a restoration. When we get on that, you guys will see the easy way, which a lot of people are scared of. It's weird. I think it's because the car has to come all the way apart for the easy way, and that scares the crap out of a lot of people. But the beauty in doing that is you're gonna make whatever changes you want on the way back together. You're starting from scratch, and in theory, you're doing all new wiring, all new plumbing, new drivetrain, you're nut and bolting the frame, you're coating everything, so you're essentially building a brand new car that way, and it comes out beautiful. Is it time consuming? Yes, but honestly, this way can be a little more time consuming. This honestly should have been out of here about 6 months ago, but again, we've got normal lives to live. I don't work on this all the time. I'm only working on it as much this last 2 weeks because shop's closed. So I'm gonna get back to grinding. Once I knock this all down and get some etching primer on it, I'll show you where we are at on this. I'll clean it up, I'll clean the cab up, and I'll show you some stuff we still need to do inside, as well as give you a rundown of what's going on underneath. And actually that rundown may happen on another day. But yeah, let's just see how far we get today, all right? Cool deal. So while I'm dressing this, or knocking down the welds, however you want to say it, I just reminded myself of something I do want to tell you guys. Besides wear your dang PPE. The biggest thing with any kind of sheet metal work that I gotta stress is watch your heat. And what I mean by that is, as you're welding, I'm sure I've touched on it, but I'm gonna say it again anyway. As you're welding, do it in sections and move around the panel. That's one way you can address the heat soaking situation. If you watched any of my lives where I'm doing any of the sheet metal work, I do a lot of that stuff live, so you can see it get done in real time without a whole lot of me yapping. You'll see that I'm bouncing around the panel. That's in an effort to control how much heat goes in and where. If you just lay a bead, right, as you move, the leading edge of that weld is pushing heat through the panel. So as you get moving forward, that panel's actually getting incrementally hotter and hotter, 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 hotter. Heat is going to warp this thin sheet. So while it's not as crazily important when doing the grinding part or the dressing part of your welds, I didn't realize that glare is gnarly. The heat is still going into the material. So you need to push forward with your grinding. You know, I started down here and I'm working this way, obviously. It's okay to move in one direction. Just take a break every now and then. You know, check it with bare skin before you go back at it. Don't pull the grinding wheel off and then touch it. It's going to be too hot. What I mean is let it sit for a second and then go back at it. Maybe jump to another piece. I'm taking my time with it, and I'm just going to go all the way around. Then I'll cut this and deal with the plug welds. But you need to watch your heat input. There's no worse feeling than getting done doing a panel. It's not so crucial on the floors, but let's say we were repairing this roof and we get it all on, and then we start welding because we cut somewhere in here and we welded to get this all done. This is a bugger. If we weld it up and it gets all wavy and junked up, good luck to you. You're doing it again. You know, terrible body guys will tell you just fill it with mud. I'm a believer in metal finish first. If you get your metal right, everything after that just goes smoother, from drivetrain wiring, your body work, your paint guy. If you're the paint guy, you'll know this. Good metal work makes the whole build. So take your time. Don't get in a rush with any of this stuff. If you're cutting up a car like this, or you're going as far as either of those or any of the stuff I'm doing, my hope is that you own it. The good news about owning your project is it's going to wait for you. I could leave right now, come back tomorrow, and it's going to be sitting right here. It doesn't ask me to feed it. It doesn't ask me to take it out on dates. It doesn't ask for a payment every month. It's going to be right here when I get back. So take your time, watch your heat, and take breaks every now and then. It's good for you. Take a break, get your glasses off your head, get the schmutz out of your beard, get a drink, and then come back, and you should be able to reach right up and touch it. See, this is nice and cool. I can go back at it all the way to where I was just grinding. It's nice and cool. So take your time, do it right. Basically, we're there. So we've got our weld knocked down. Again, not finished, but it's knocked down. So we're gonna go ahead and take some self-etching primer here. We're gonna go ahead and cover this up so we don't get any flashing. And then we'll cut this off, and that'll be that. All right, so got our welds dressed to the point where we're gonna say good enough for now. Shouldn't rust. And now we're turning our attention here. So I have scored it already, and I've actually already cheated ahead of time and broke it off. But when you're dealing with a panel that's sitting on top of another one, you just want to cut deep enough that you can bend it. Wiggle it a couple times back and forth, and that score mark is going to break off nice and clean and give you a beautiful place to go. I use a 1/4 inch bit, drill through the first sheet, being careful not to drill through the second one. There's our plug welds. So we'll get those welded up, pull these screws, weld the screw holes shut, and we will have a plug welded sill plate. And then we can officially move on to other things after we dress those and get some primer on it just to seal everything up. When we're getting ready to go back together, I will run seam sealer here and on the back side underneath, but that's for a later video. And now the plug welds are plug welded and the screws are pulled. So we'll knock these down, throw some etching primer at it, and that floor pan is attached as it can be. So the main thing you want to remember when doing this work, again, I can't stress it enough, is to watch your heat input. When you see me welding these panels, if you've ever joined one of the live streams that I've done, you'll notice that if there's a weld right here, I'll just draw a line across the screen, and it's binding two pieces of sheet metal, right? I'll weld a little bit here, then I'll jump over here, then I might come to here, and you know, you keep moving around. I weld about 1 inch to 1.5 inches at a time, and then I move. It does two things. Keeps the heat in that area from becoming too excessive, and what that does is it fights warpage. It also allows me to, the second reason that's good is you weld a little section and you move. When you come back, you'll see where that sheet has relaxed back to. So if your gaps are getting too tight, as you introduce heat, heat expands metal. That gap that you cut into that panel for butt welding will shrink. And sometimes you've got to plunge your cutoff wheel blade back in there to get your gap right, so that when you weld again, it doesn't force those two pieces into each other, causing a heave, which again, that'll end up coming out like a warp in your panel, and you don't want that. It's just something you don't want to fight. So if you take your time and you just watch your heat, things will end up okay for you, and you'll never have an issue with it. This type of work is not something to get in a rush over. I get frustrated with myself because of timeline, but that's my own stuff. You don't let it happen. There's always another show. There's always another place to go. There's always another reason to get your car done. So take your time and do it right. That's not to say that the roadkill mentality isn't okay too. I have a few of those. This is not a show car. So to me, this is kind of roadkill. I'm throwing it together in a way that will last, but I'm actually just kind of throwing it together. This one's not a showpiece. This is a driver. We beat on it. We take it on long road trips. We enjoy this thing, and every now and then it still gets used as a truck. So this is the good enough one. A couple of the other ones coming up are going to be very in-depth, very time-consuming, very much different types of builds from us. You know, this is the hot rod, the Camaro's a race car. So those are just down and dirty, get it done type builds. Whereas that 56 is a dream car that I've wanted since I was 8. And that Joker is going to be getting worked on for the next several years. We're picking up 2. I think I know what I'm going to do with the other one. 2 more Fords. The one is just going to be a daily kind of car for now. I have a big block needing a home, so we might get stupid. The other one, I think I know what to do, and I'll tell you guys about that this weekend. But anyway, truck's cool. I'm going to get back after it, do some more grinding, and I'll show you guys where we're at when I have something to show you. So that's where we're going to end this video. I already feel like it's kind of stretching out a little long for some of you guys, and that's fine. We're gonna have this coated today, and then when we get ready to come back at it, I'll have something else to show you guys. I'm going to go ahead and put the cab mount, the center support in. That way we can move on to some other things. Blowing the front end enough apart to get to the old cab mounts, get them dug out of there, and start doing that stuff and address the underside of this thing. Get ready for some undercoating and some actual finish work, so we can get ready to put this thing together. So that next week we can start working on some mechanical things and some cool stuff that we're changing about the truck. We got an aftermarket steering column to go in here that's going to play nice with our wiring. We're actually going to change the pedal assembly configuration. Truck was a 3-speed on the tree from the factory, and we're putting an automatic in it, so obviously 3 pedals down to 2. But this truck doesn't have a similar counterpart that we can rob a pedal set from, nor is it a truck that they make an aftermarket pedal set that's a direct fit in. So I'm going to show you guys a little way to cheat that gets the job done every bit just as good as anything else. And that is, you go down to your local parts store, O'Reilly's or any of those guys. Anyway, I'm opening the package. Here's what a brake pedal pad looks like. We all know what they look like. You can buy the extravagant ones from, you know, Speedway or Summit that have little metal pieces on them and are pretty and all that good stuff. The Mustang one is actually really cool. And I ordered one for this like 2-3 years ago when I knew we were going to do all this, and I've since lost it. So for $6, look, it even says disc brakes. You pick one of these up, and we're going to use this as a template, and we're going to make a pedal set for this thing while using the mechanical linkage that's already in the truck. Essentially, all you've got to do is you got your gas pedal and your brake pedal and a clutch pedal, normally all three wide. We're going to take the brake pedal in a manual truck that's centered and make it to be like an automatic truck where it's slightly off-centered and has a bigger pedal. What we're going to do is we're going to make a metal pad that fits inside there, and we're basically going to slide this whole thing over, get it welded onto the existing swinging pedal bracket, and voila. But I'll show you guys all that in detail in videos coming up. This box right down here is an aftermarket steering column to replace the one that we took out for several reasons. The biggest reason of which is this thing just wore slap out. So this is the factory column. It's just 60 years old and tore up. There's all the linkage for the 3-speed. And we had actually obtained from a friend a 80s GM column. And looking at everything it was going to take, if you can see, the GM column is actually a little bit longer, and I actually want to shorten the column. Reason being, it's too long already, and I'm adding tilt and a column shifter. So Speedway sells them by length. You can get already wired, set up columns that'll accept GM wiring, or if you want, when you buy like your American Auto Wire kits, it's got all the things to convert any vehicle to a GM column, or you can run it via your old plugs. I've decided to just go GM. Ease of getting parts, and the connectors are readily available on shelves anywhere. So the truck, because it's a driver and because we do a lot of driving, needs to stay repairable on the fly. So you got to do what you got to do. And again, it's not a restoration, it's a toy, it's a driver, we use it, it's a tool. So that is some stuff we have coming up that we hope to get to. The column will probably have to wait, but we are going to build this motor in very short order. But we have a few interruptions over the next few days, so bear with me. This week's kind of spotty, but next week it's wide open on this thing. So appreciate you guys for watching. If you've watched this far, you're one of my personal heroes. Hit subscribe, hit like, and I will get back with you guys soon. In the meantime, I'm going to finish up this panel as far as grinding and getting some paint on it, and we'll do something else tomorrow, all right?